The development program has been going on for many years and uh, was conceived as an alternative to autoinjectors, mainly because of so many uh, concerns that people have about using autoinjectors, and basically the number of people who don't carry it or don't use it when they should, um, which comes to a number of factors. It's partially the needle, in large part for many people. It's partially being afraid, um, or not being sure when to use it. Actually, there are things we can't correct everything. Some of the things we can correct is portability, being able to carry it more easily. Carrying autoinjectors was a challenge for many people, or an inconvenience at least, and being able to use it quickly and easily. Uh, so the development pathway for Anaphylm was aimed at solving as many of those problems as possible. And Anaphylm does solve many of those problems, being needle-free and of a very small size, easily portable, easy to carry, and very quick and easy to use. Uh, in the current space of having another needle-free product, is there still a need for other needle-free products? Absolutely. I'm a big fan of having choices, and I don't think any one thing is the right thing for everyone. I know I have patients who will want to and should probably just continue to have auto-injector prescriptions, and some people don't exactly love nose sprays, so they may want to try a sublingual film. Some people will find it more portable to carry the sublingual film. Again, it actually addresses a number of the problems that keep people from carrying it and using it, and has some advantages that will appeal to many people. I think there's a place for every one of those products, however, after talking to many patients, that's what I hear. Well, onset and absorption and usability, three very important qualities. One of the other things we want every epinephrine product to do is work quickly. And onset of action, we like the fact that Anaphylm uh, works very rapidly, as fast as the autoinjectors, faster as far as how it builds up to its peak level in the system. It's very comparable to autoinjectors and faster than the FDA often compares this, and actually many doctors still in a hospital and clinic, if they give epinephrine, they use a syringe and needle. They don't use an autoinjector, so that's called a manual uh, epinephrine injection, and that's actually not nearly as fast as Anaphylm or autoinjectors. So it is very fast acting. That's one of the nice things that we can say about Anaphylaxis. You asked me about usability, which I've already commented on it being uh, not only easy to carry, but easy to use actually because it's so small. Um, it's something you can just pop under your tongue in a moment. This is not something that needs training, for example. Uh, there's nothing um, there's really not much you can do wrong with Anaphylaxis, taking it out of the pouch and putting it under your tongue. So usability is a very high level of usability for people, even in an emergency situation, which is one of the problems with some existing products is um, that in that panic or emergency situation, everything gets harder to use. This is quite easy to use. Well, absorption is part of what allows it to build up quickly. So saying that its onset of action and building up fast was uh, so great automatically implies that the absorption is good. That's every the problem with every type of epinephrine is getting it into the system, because one of the problems with epinephrine is that what it does is it constricts blood vessels. Now that's great for helping your blood pressure go up when you have anaphylaxis, but it means that wherever you put it, it fights its own absorption. Whether you inject it in the muscle, it actually is a little bit of a problem there. If you spray it in your nose, if you just sprayed epinephrine in your nose um, or in your mouth, would it get absorbed? Actually, hardly at all, because it would block itself off. So each of these products has to have something in it that helps absorption. So in commenting about absorption, Anaphylm is a really engineered platform for delivering epinephrine into the system, dissolving under the tongue and releasing it into the system. And one of the key features is that the Anaphylm is a prodrug. It's a form of epinephrine that doesn't cause that local problem with absorption. It can easily be absorbed, and after it gets into the system is when it gets broken down into epinephrine. So Anaphylm solved the absorption problem by creating a film that can allow it to get quickly absorbed, and by creating a prodrug that allows it to get rapidly absorbed and then converted into epinephrine in the system. The oral allergy syndrome challenge, or oral allergen challenge, was a study designed to address a question raised by the FDA about local reactions within the mouth and whether they would affect absorption or reduce absorption from the film. For example, someone could be having an allergic reaction, and we know people can get swollen face or eyes or hands, or people can get swelling theoretically under the tongue, and would that be a problem? In other words, the FDA had a concern. And the closest thing that we could come up with that the FDA thought was appropriate was to do an oral allergen challenge in people who, because of their allergies, they get an itchy mouth and throat and sometimes swelling in the mouth when they eat certain foods that cause that reaction. So by actually giving them this food in a controlled way that they would get this reaction in the mouth, that would be as close as we could come to an allergic reaction in the mouth. Even though it's not a whole body reaction, it would address the question in the mouth of whether this is going to affect absorption from the Anaphylm. And the short answer is no, it did not reduce absorption from Anaphylm. And it's really the only thing the study was designed to do. We did notice that it helped to reduce the symptoms in the mouth, which you would think the epinephrine would do, and it did very effectively, but that's not what the study was designed for. The mean time to resolution, complete resolution of symptoms, was 15 minutes after giving the Anaphylm under the tongue. So let me explain. The person puts the food in their mouth, they get a lot of itching, and the idea is to let the reaction build up until they can't stand it anymore. So maximum tolerated symptoms, and then they can take the food out and take the Anaphylm. And mainly to see how it's absorbed, but also to see what happens to the symptoms. When they did that, the symptoms completely went away after 15 minutes. Initially in the study, before there was an initial oral food challenge, oral allergen challenge, to confirm that we had the right patients, that they were going to get this kind of reaction in the mouth. And that time they didn't get Anaphylm. We just had to make sure that we had patients who would get these reactions. They're not dangerous reactions. People usually, when they get those reactions, don't necessarily take medication. But when they didn't take medication in that initial phase of the study, the mean time to resolution was 74 minutes.